Hello all, Future Scree here, I hope you're all well. What I would recommend for this video is put it on in the background or just do something else, have a cup of tea, enjoy it. It's a long video but there's a lot of information in there about all the new vehicles in the dev server, so I hope you enjoy. Future Scree out, bye bye. Hello guys and girls, how's it going? Screezilla here and I hope you're all well, and you join me on the dev server. Yes, dev server is here. And everybody's been showing off the main things. Now the important things are of course the Italian tech trees. So just going to glance quickly just in case there's anything new in the Italian aviation tree. Yes, there are quite a few new things for the Italian planes, which is kind of cool. The SM91 is one actually that I was looking forward to for a long time. Basically a lightning with a rear turret. This thing is going to be an interesting vehicle to see out. This is going to be a very, very handy ground attacker. Very much so. This is going to really help the Italian tankers. Now, forgive me, I can't actually zoom in my preview mode, so that's kind of frustrating. However, that is very cool, and there are two new RE2000s as well. 2001, or three new actually. So some new series of those, which are extremely good little fighters. And then not much else I can see. So sorry, I hadn't looked at the Italian planes yet, and I just saw this and was like, oh, okay, that's kind of very cool. 620mm in the front. Yep, that thing's going to be pretty deadly. Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. Anyway, Italian tanks. As you can see, they are all tigers. Yes, every one of them is a tiger. So most important thing, reserves. We've got the AB41. As you can see, is a very cool little armoured car. Yes, I'm glad we got armoured cars. 20mm Beretta on top. Not a huge amount of damage it's going to be able to do. Lots of little ammo racks, but it's going to be a fast little vehicle. The 20mm has got at most 64mm of penetration. Also the 8mm machine guns, which I just love 8mm. It's just such a weird. They have some interesting, calibers. The M1441 tank that I did talk a little bit about in my what we should be getting a preview. 47mm gun. Not bad armor for BR, but not great. This thing's going to be a little bit weak. Think Japanese tanks, you know, it's going to be similar to that. Modification wise, the gun is not great, but you do have a fairly heavy high explosive shell, which is going to do okay. It's going to penetrate not much. You're going to have trouble penetrating some vehicles, especially the French. The AS42. So again, we've got an armoured car, and this thing is just awesome. It's basically, it's a car with a big 20mm cannon strapped to it. Yes, that's it. It's just cool. This is the kind of thing I wanted in the Italian tech tree. You've got quite a few crew, of course, and it does have the ability to drive forwards and backwards. I believe the gear ratios are the same in reverse as they are in are actually forwards, if I remember correctly. But yeah, cool little car. I love the fact that it seems to have, it's got a jack on the front, everything like that. It's a very cool looking little machine. Actually, it's something I want to test drive. The Italians are going to get some really, really cool little interesting things. They're not going to be great, but they're going to be interesting, and that's what I like. They're just interesting little things. The 20mm Beretta is not great. As you can see, it's got a very limited amount of fire, and this thing isn't very fast, as you can see. Also, we don't have any crew at the moment, so that's always fun. But yeah, a very interesting little tank. Well, little armoured car, basically. And it's going to be one of those things. It's an AA vehicle, you know. It, it's going to struggle a bit, but it is just... It's so stupid, it's fun. Which I'm all for. I'm all for stupid but fun. Sorry, I just need a sip of water there. So yeah, going to be completely useless. You will be able to get the 64mm penetrating rounds though, so it's going to have some punch to it, but there's so few shots in a clip, it's pretty bad. And then finally, oh yes, the meme machine itself. Now we have a picture of a Tiger here. The smallest tank in War Thunder, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, the L333. The tank destroyer variant of the tankette. No armour to speak of. If this bounces anything, it will be a miracle. Just 2 crew members. And as you can see, the gunner is basically going to get smacked in the face with the recoil from the rifle. Now, luckily, the rifle that they actually use has very low recoil rate, because otherwise this gunner would not have fun. But yeah, he rests his shoulder on there and looks through the sight. Yeah, this thing is tiny. It fits under a Type 90 as well. So it only has the 29mm penetration round. Yeah, this thing is going to be pretty fun as a vehicle that you ambush people with, because you can make it into a bush. And I mean quite literally make this into a bush. You can actually put all the bushes across it and not be seen. It's amazing. Alright, next up, the L6040, the modified version of one of the earlier tankettes. Now the L6040 is another tank I was talking about as a tank that we probably will see. Very small tankette, very small crew of 2 men. This is a tiny little tank, 20mm Breda in it, of course, and again it's going to have very sort of okayish rate of fire for not very long. It is a very, very small little vehicle. The M1139. Now this is where we start getting to some of the earlier variants of tanks. And this, you look at this and you think, oh, that's Japanese, and it does look like it. Now this goes on the Grant and the Lee sort of principle of having the main gun in the hull and then the machine gun on top. It comes with 2 8mm guns and then a Vickers 37mm in it, mainly, with 27mm of penetration. So yeah, this has the same penetration as the L333. So this is going to be our tank destroyer line, and I think that's where we're going to see most of the Italian vehicles. 47, 32. Yep. It's awesome. It's just a tiny little tank destroyer. Open top, which is going to affect it a little bit. The 47mm does have some punch to it though, with 39mm of penetration, so you're going to be able to punch through at least some early tanks, but still struggle against the French. On to rank 2, so we get the AB43. Another armoured car, and this is going to be a very deadly vehicle. The 47mm on top is actually going to have some punch to it. It's going to be relatively fast. If we look at the modifications and the rounds, we've got 49mm of penetration. So again, it's not going to be huge amounts, but this is going to be able to flank. It's going to be fast. It's going to be very, very interesting to use. And again, no armour whatsoever. So it looks like this is going to be more our armoured car line. P40, of course. The Limoncello, we know that already. It's basically the same as the Tech Tree variant. I can't really find anything different. I think it might just be camouflage difference. So not much difference between the Gruppo Cosente Limoncello, which is just different regiments. So we also got the R3T20. Now this is another anti-air vehicle. Good lord, this is cool. Okay. Yeah, this is something else. This just looks futuristic. The hell is this thing? This is This is interesting. Okay, so yeah, obviously post-war. So I think we're getting post-war vehicles very early here. So 20mm Okrolian. Sorry, I'm just taken back about that. So relatively fast firing, not huge amounts of penetration values, but this thing's going to be predominantly anti-air. But holy cow, does this look cool? It looks like something from Thunderbirds. That might be my new favourite vehicle. And that's the only anti-aircraft, the only AA vehicle you're going to get until rank 4, rank 5. Oh, wow, okay. Where was I? The 75-18, which again is your tank destroyer. This one has the 75mm in it. It's basically the premium that we see with the 75mm. This was one of the early versions. And we also get the 74 M42. So again, just slight differences in weight, I think it was, and just a few differences in their suspension. Now, the Italians actually had pretty good suspension on their tanks, which is something people do forget about. So the 75mm is pretty decent penetration. In all honesty, it's got all the penetration you're going to need. Also, not too bad on the velocity of those rounds. So this is going to be a pretty deadly little tank destroyer. These things were very popular with the Germans. The Germans were very, very interested in them when they captured the Italian vehicles and moved north. Yeah, north up to Italy as Italy as they were being broken apart. So the Brada 501. Yep. Yeah, this thing is going to be hilarious. The 90mm cannon on board, basically a 90mm cannon. It's kind of like the Flak 88. However, this isn't designed really for Flak. This is designed for tanks. Armor is non-existent really. It's got 30mm at the front actually, so that's not too bad. I'd expect a little bit less. But the round is where we look at. 94mm of penetration, 113mm of penetration with a huge amount of TNT in it. This thing is going to be really deadly, but again, it's going to be a sniping vehicle. It's going to be a wait and see vehicle. One thing I do love is the twin machine guns at the back, just so you can run away from people and spray them with machine gun fire. The M4 Tripio, because every nation needs a Sherman. Yep, Sherman with a 76. So, yep, we know what that does. You can't really say more about that. We expected lots of Shermans in there. So we're on to rank 3 now. So this is when we're going to start getting the 105mm variant, and that's the premium as well. So we'll look at the premium because it's unlocked, so we can look at that sort of a little bit easier. Premium 105mm, again, not a huge velocity on the gun. The weird thing is the 75mm gun is better than the 105. This thing just has more power for the amount of explosive mass it has. Not terrible, but I would say the 75 is going to be better, if you know what I mean. It's just one of those weird little things. Let's just take it out for a quick test run, and I'll just show you what I mean with that. You know, it's the heat shell's got the same velocity as the 75mm, but the 75mm has better, just a better standard round to it. So, as I say, if you penetrate, you're going to do lots of damage. We actually over penetrated there. So basically, this is just a big derp gun on a very low profile tank. The thing about this thing is it's just so low. All the Italian tanks are very low profile, which is going to be a huge help. Another thing to remember is this thing has a great amount of gun depression. We'll just get to this ridgeline here, and I'll just show that quickly. The gun depression on these is not bad at all. And you can see inside, the gun is quite low, and that means that when you're on a ridgeline like this, takes a while for the gun to go down, but at full depression you can do that, which is going to be a big help for this vehicle. You're going to be able to work ridge lines like a boss, and it's going to be hard for people because you've got Not a great reverse speed, but enough to get out of trouble. Um, but as I said, this thing's not going to be terribly great, but it's got one huge advantage, and that is working the ridge lines and its height. Now, it's not very fast, so you're going to have to try and get to your spots relatively quick. Dirt over the Matilda there. So you're going to need to move to positions relatively quick. I really wouldn't advise this over the Leoncello as your premium, because you're going to unlock this pretty quickly in the normal tech tree. And as a premium, it's not that great, to be in all honesty. You're better off getting something a little bit better and just slapping a talisman on it. But it's not going to be a totally worthless machine. Now, we also have the 7534 M43. So another version. This is basically the same version, but with that 75mm gun on board. And as you can see, it just has much better standard round. You know, much more penetration, and the heat has the same velocity. So the 75 is a much better gun, in all honesty. It's one of those things that's, you know, even the 88, you know, the 88 was not that great. Oh, I'm going to get a lot of angry German people now. So finally, the 9035 M41. I've skipped over one. There's two. There's a second version with the 75mm in it. Very little armor, as you can see. I think this one's actually a little bit nippier in speed, so that's something. But again, really good depression on the gun. That's really going to help. And modification wise, 147mm. That's going to be pretty deadly. And I love the fact the machine gun's painted at the moment. That's kind of cool. I hope that stays. And yeah, that's kind of interesting. Alright. So finally, we've got the 90. This is what I wanted to see. Yes, the 9053 M41M. This thing was an absolute beast, and it was very problematic for the people invading Italy. Now, you've got really no depression on this thing, but this thing has got a very good gun on board. Of course, no armor. It looks more like an artillery piece, but this is an anti-tank vehicle. Of course, it can be used as artillery, but the rounds is what we want to see. It's 94mm on your standard round with 520 grams. 1 kilogram of explosive in your HE round. And 180 grams in your very penetrative round. So about 100mm of penetration across the board. This thing's going to pretty much pen most vehicles. It's not exactly fast, it's not protective, and it's going to get mowed down by planes a lot, but I'm glad to see it because this is something that I hoped we would be having. Alright, rank 4, so we might as well look at the last tank destroyer in the round, so the M36B1. What a surprise. Yeah, so as you see, basically a what's it called? My brain has gone dead, but yeah, just a Sherman with a it's a standard Sherman with the turret of a tank destroyer on top. A bit of a mismatch, and you get the same sort of rounds. Well, you get the M332 shot, which is going to do a lot of damage penetration wise, but not too much spalling. I've completely lost my mind. You know what I'm talking about, people. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so that's the last tank destroyer in your line. On to tanks. So we get the M26A1. Yep. Can't really say any more about that. 6.7, and also the Fiat 6614. Now this is going to be much more interesting because we get that awesome looking vehicle with an anti-tank rifle on it, a recoilless rifle on top, lots of smoke launchers. This was an armoured personnel carrier, as you can see with the back section, basically, and you have the recoilless rifle on board. Going to be very fast, and the recoilless rifle is going to be deadly. We've got a grenade in there, well, anti-tank grenade, heat, And also we get like a Hesh as well with 152mm and 381mm at what battle rate was 6.7. So yeah, this could be really, really fun and trolly. You've got no armor whatsoever, but 69 miles per hour. You're going to be able to deflect a few machine gun bullets, but that's about it. Yeah, cool vehicle. Very, very cool little vehicle. Plus, you've got some good smoke launching grenades on there as well. Of course, you have to unlock them. Next up, the R3 T106FA. Similar vehicle, but with 2 anti-tank rifles on board, plus a couple of 12.7mm targeting rifles. Now, this was made for tank hunting. Unlike the prior one, it wasn't designed for carrying people. Well, of course, you have people in there. So this was predominantly designed to go after tanks, as you can see. It's very weird, and it's very cool, and the glass on the side is more protective than the actual armor. Of course, because glass is so much more protective. Anyway, yeah, so again, same round, just ludicrous. Scouting vehicle, this thing's going to be an amazing scout. That's something I didn't mention, is this is going to be an amazing scout sort of pack. The Italians are going to have some fantastic scout vehicles. The thing I find interesting there is it's still 6.7, so twice the firepower, the same vehicle. Now, unlike the M18, the Hellcats, that's what I was looking for. So if you look at the Hellcat, it's a different design. The actual chassis is very different. It's a much faster vehicle. So the Italians have got basically a Sherman with a Hellcat's turret on board, which is just really, really gnarly and just totally expected. So we've got the M26 Ariete, which we know about, the M26A1, which is the tech tree variant. Nothing really interesting to say about it. It's a M26. It's a good tank. 6.7. Italians have got a hell of a 6.7 lineup. You know, they're going to have a really good 6.7 lineup. Anyway, M601 Ariete. Again, it's the Italian Italian variant. Sorry, I just got put off there by the Romanian on the turret. Got Italian there. Okay, I'm confused mildly there. Anyway, the Italian version of it. Start off with a APDS shell, decent tank. It's going to be decent. That's probably one of your best options to grind. 8.3 though, you are going to be facing some very heavy competition. Now, 8.3, the Sidam 25. This is your anti-aircraft vehicle. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. 4 25mm Acrylians on an APC. Very little armour, of course. Modifications. Up to 100mm of penetration. Oh boy, this thing's going to be pretty annoying. Relatively good speed. It's going to have a relatively good turnaround for the turret as well. Yeah, that's going to be pretty deadly. I will get to that, don't worry. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there. The M47, 105.55. Yep, we know about that. The AUBL 74, 7.0, armoured car. 90mm Cockerill Mark III cannon. This thing's going to be a beast. Very fast scouting vehicle. Heat with 300mm of penetration. All your scouting options and 69 miles per hour. Of course, armor is null and void. You've actually got... You might be able to survive a slight hit on the turret by something, but that's about it, really. Just because that turret's got some trolly angles to it. So you might survive a hit to the turret. Doubt it. But yeah, pretty cool little armoured car with a tank on it. Basically a wheeled tank. We also get the Centurio. Oh, howdy. Yeah. 105mm Otto Melara. Again, this thing is absolutely beastly. Top speed is 74 miles per hour. No scouting mechanics in this one. This is an anti-tank weapon. Start off with APDS, finish off with Heat FS. Oh yes, that thing is going to be pretty annoying on the battlefield. The OF-40. Now the OF-40 is basically a Leopard. It was a development on the Leopard. The Italians were building the Leopards at the time, and this was their development on it. Completely new gun, completely new systems. It was completely worked up. Armor, not great. Although you do have some composite armor, actually, some spaced armor on the side, so that's quite handy. So some spaced turret armor, that's useful. Not a huge amount of armor, but the gun is where the action's going to be. Very good gun. 400mm Heat FS, 300mm APDS. Yeah, this thing's going to be very, very good. Decent top speed as well, 45 miles per hour. Yeah, what we sort of knew was coming, but very, very cool. Centurio Romero? I won't try and pronounce Italian, it's going to fail. ERA package, okay. An ERA package variant. So, yeah, not going to be too helpful, but it's at least got something. And, yeah, that's about it, really. I think actually the same rounds. Although we do get a APFSDS with very decent velocity and very decent penetration. So that is going to be very cool at top tier. 8.7. Next up we have the OF-40 Mark IIA, and this was an improved variant. Again, very similar, much better gun on it. Believe it's stabilized, should be stabilized, I think, from memory. Nothing much more to add, really, just slightly far, same speed actually, just a slightly more modern variant. It also has this lovely little bit of fabric by the side, you know, for extra protection. But still, very cool little top tier tank for the Italians. It's, you know, it's not going to be hugely, you know, it's not real top tier yet, but it is going to help out. And then finally, what is pretty much their top tier tank and top tier vehicle, the Automatic. Yeah. So this was basically built on, it was a prototype. A couple were built. As you can see, it's 76mm automatic cannon, and this thing has a ridiculous rate of fire, very good turret speed, and it has APFDS, rapid firing APFSDS. Also, they high explosive, self-destroying ammunition. Yep, this thing is going to be an absolute weapon. The only downside is the fact that you can't lower the radar dishes. So that will make a bit of a problem. So that can affect it a little bit. So yes, the Italian tech tree. Now that's what I wanted to start off with. So, as I said, the aviation tree, I do really want to test this out because this is quite a cool looking vehicle. The SM91, I really don't know much about it. Not much known about this vehicle from me, but as you can see, it looks like a Lightning. In test flight, we do actually get planes now, so that's kind of cool. Okay, good. Something we've been asking for a while is actually having some planes to shoot down. So yeah, basically, it's an Italian Lightning. It's very cool. I do love the fact it's got a rear mounted 20mm. So the front mounted 20mm are going to be pretty effective, I believe. I'm just going to go and hunt down these two Sperrios. Two SM79s there, which look like good target practice. for me. Cockpit hasn't been put in yet. It's not downloaded yet. Look at the engines. Could be DB. I'll have to have a look at the engine for the moment. It's relatively speedy. It feels relatively fast. Those guys are dropping torpedoes. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, we'll just drop torpedoes. Okay, that's kind of cool. No real reason. It's just some friendlies flying around doing target practice. It just makes the game feel more alive. Well, they're not going to be alive for much longer. Yeah, those 20mm just rip apart stuff. Like anything else. That is very, very cool. Alrighty. Now let's try get in front of it. And let's switch over to our rear turret. Rear 20mm. Not bad, it's going to be useful, it's just going to be quite handy. This of course is going to affect the vehicle's speed. It's just a little bit heavier, but still very, very cool. Yeah, this is a very cool little plane. It's going to really, really help the Italian ground pounders. And just don't go head on with this thing, because it's just going to annihilate you. Yeah, okay, that thing is ridiculous. I didn't want to restart it, sorry about that. Return to hangar, that's what I wanted to do. Holy cow, that thing is cool. Yeah, I think I found a plane that I am going to be looking into quite a bit. So modifications, you do actually get bombs on this as well. So you get 6 100kg bombs, so that's going to be enough to actually destroy light tanks, cause some damage. You've got 1,800 rounds as well. Jesus, this thing carries a lot of rounds. So yeah, that's going to be very, very cool. Alright, so France has nothing new that I could see. Nothing obviously new. I might be wrong, but you know, didn't see anything interesting in their aviation tree, and didn't see anything in their tank tech tree. So nothing that I could see that was new for them. Japan has got the Type 89. Finally, a very, very cool vehicle for Japan. Type 89 is basically their sort of Bradley variant, and with this you're going to get ATGMs. Type 79 ATGM, much better ATGM than we have at the moment. Semi-automatic, okay. And also we've got a 35mm gun on top, which has got okay-ish penetration, especially with the top rounds. So, for me, this is cool. Let's take it out for a test run. Let's see what happens. So, yeah, very cool little vehicle for the Japanese. So, something else, and at least it's an ATGM vehicle that actually has some use. So, decent speed. The main gun is not really that useful for the moment. Oh, and it's a crosshair system for the ATGM. And as you can see, very fast ATGM as well. Very good velocity on that ATGM. We'll have to look when I get back to the whatever we call it. So let's just test out on that Type T10. Retreat. Reload's a little bit sluggish, but it's an external reloader. Still, this thing is very, very cool looking. Again, it's should have scouting ability. but it's just going to be a very good little vehicle, much like the Bradley, the Warrior, and all that aspect. So yeah, Japan gets a very cool vehicle in that respect. So as a Japanese player, very happy for that. And yes, it will get scouting as well. So that's going to be very, very fun. Yes, looking forward to that. That's going to be something that I will be working towards, because I have everything else in the Japanese tech tree apart from the Type 75. So yeah, a really cool new addition to the Japanese tech tree. Britain, of course. Britain gets a new Challenger, the Mark III. So we've got an ERA package, and we also get the Shot Caudal, and it's at 8.7. Now 8.7 for basically a Centurion doesn't sound good, but this is very reworked. Armor wise, we've got some decent frontal armor. We also have the spaced armor of this battering ram, basically. So very good in that respect. Lots of machine guns on board as well, and also ERA. So yeah, this thing is going to be pretty protected in some respects. So that's going to help a lot. But the main thing is the gun, because you get APFDS. Yeah. Oh yes. So this is going to be a very good little grinder. Plus those smoke launchers are fantastic. You get basically a billion smoke grenades, so that's fantastic. So yeah, this is going to be a very cool vehicle. Hesitantly, I would actually recommend that if you're looking at a high tier vehicle. It's currently in this top tier section, but I imagine they're going to split this up a little bit and get the Challenger there. So the Challenger Mark III is basically a Challenger, but with a little bit more protection, better ERA, and you start off with APFSDS, thankfully. So yeah, sort of a much better variant of the Challenger. So that will be very helpful. Also, it gets this really cool little extra bit of protection spaced armor just on the side of the turret there, which might help a little bit for especially heat rounds and stuff like that. So yeah, very cool little tank, and it's got its battle sort of system armor on. So yeah, that should be good. It should really help the British. Also gives them a second top tier MBT to play with. Aviation, nothing special in the aviation tree that I could see. No new bombers, which was devastating to me. Don't really see the point in looking on anymore. There's no new bombers. I was looking forward to getting a new bomber. I guess there is, you know, a Javelin. It does mean I need to grind through the bloody Meteor line. But yes, the Javelin. Unfortunately, I can't take it out for a spin. But boy, oh boy, is this thing beautiful. You're also going to get Firestreak 80 air-to-air missile. So, I did talk about this last video. The Firestreak is slightly heavier, but it's a longer range variant of the missile compared to the AIM-7. I wish I would have folded the Meteor line up. That would have made my life so much easier, but no, you don't. We also get the Reaper. Yeah, look, it's cool. It's got a lot of stuff on it. It's not worth the price. I say it's not worth the price, but it is a premium jet, but you're probably better off unlocking the Venom or the Vampire and putting a Talisman on it, or the Hunter, depending on your inclements, sorry. And of course it does have a ridiculous amount of weapons on board. That is going to be okay for tank and ground RB and stuff, but other than that, it's kind of not that great. USSR. No new tanks that I could see. Oh wait, there is one. There's a T-72A. Okay. So yeah, T-72 Alpha, a T-72. Yep. this is going to be a very, very decent tank on the battlefield. You don't get the ATGM that other tanks get, but you've got a very good gun on board. You also can get the upgrade package of the ERA by the looks of things. So yeah, this thing's pretty strong. It's not as well armored as some of the other tanks, but it's very sloped. It's very trolly, and it's going to be pretty hard to penetrate. This thing's going to be very, very useful on the battlefield. Yeah, very good little tank for the Russians, and have a good tank for them, because they don't have enough top tier tanks at the moment. You know, all the T-64s and T-80s and stuff. You know, not enough. Anyway, helicopters, nothing, unsurprisingly. Aviation, other than the MiG-15 Bish, and of course the MiG-19. Oh, this thing is beautiful. I wish I had a press account or an actual proper account so I could properly test these things out and play with them. Unfortunately, I don't, because I don't have enough subscribers and all that kind of jazz. However, you will be getting the R32s. You're only going to get 2 air-to-air missiles. And I can't remember the R3S. Sorry, brain was missing around. Can't remember its actual effectiveness. I can't remember which one it was based off. I can't remember if this is one that is based off the AIM-9 or which one, but only 2. So that's going to be really affecting its combat effectiveness. However, it does have the 30mm cannons, and it's going to be very, very fast. Generally, you're probably going to be wanting to actually get in fast and use your cannons and boom and zoom people. Max speed of 863. Oh lord, that's fast. And there's of course the MiG-9 Bish, which it's going to be an okay ground attacker, but you get these lovely fins on it, which are really going to affect performance. It's not going to be as fast as its standard tech tree variant, although you do get a lot of rockets on board. Yeah, you're going to get some very decent rockets on board. So fighting in RB, in ground RB, this thing could be quite effective. Alrighty, now Germany has 0 new in the aviation tree, I believe. Nothing snuck past me. So nothing exciting and new there that I can see or that has been released just yet. No new helicopters. Sorry, I did misspeak when I said helicopters don't get anything. Of course they do get something. They get countermeasures, and they also get their own version of air-to-air missiles. Now I'm going to go for the American because that's the one I know what the name of the air-to-air missile is. So you will get countermeasures on the AH-1F. However, you will not get any AIM-9 missiles. You will get the infrared countermeasure, however, which will help against infrared fired rockets. However, the premium vehicles, which are 9.7 as well, which are going to be facing these type of jets, don't get any countermeasures or air-to-air missiles. The AH-1Z, however, does. So you get the ability of AIM-9 missiles. So you can carry I've got no idea how many you can carry because I can't actually find out the details on that, because there's just so many bloody variants on everything. But no doubt you'll be able to carry a sort of variety of missiles with you. But you also get the infrared countermeasure, as well as the flares. So you'll be able to fire off flares for heat seeking. Now, one thing I didn't check for planes actually as well was, do they get flares? Because that would be an interesting. Why am I going to fleet? I want to go to aviation, don't I? I'm a douche. I'm an idiot, aren't I? So the supersonic jets are around 10.0, so you will face them in 9.0, possibly. No, they don't get flares, so that's kind of interesting to see. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see there. Anyway, that's it. So back to your normal video. And in the tank tree, again, nothing new. So German players, you're getting no new toys to play with this patch that I can see. Of course, the dev server is still live, so there's still time for the little things to change. We might see something added in the next dev server. Good old US of A. Ground vehicles, zero, zilcho, nothing. Oh wait, no, there is the Bradleys, isn't there? Oh, almost forgot. Very forgettable vehicle, the Bradley. Yeah, so you finally get the M3 Bradley. Very good little vehicle. The ATGM's on it. It's got tow missiles. Very good ATGM capability. The 25mm has got APS. Just kind of say, but those are interesting looking rounds on the actual picture. So up to 100mm of penetration. So it's not terrible. It's going to be a cool little scouting vehicle. Although, well, it doesn't have scouting mechanics, so it's not going to be doing that. That's weird, actually. It doesn't have a scouting mechanic. That's kind of odd. Wait a second. Did the Japanese one did, didn't it? The 89. Yeah, the 89 got scouting mechanics. So Bradley's not getting scouting mechanics, which is weird. So that should change, hopefully. Hopefully that's just a bug, because, yeah, the Bradders should definitely get scouting mechanics. Bradley, fantastic vehicle, fantastic little combat vehicle. Has the ability to carry troops into combat. Very good armor. The rear armor is very strong on this thing. The weird thing about the Bradley is, you know, the front armor is okay. You've got multiple layers here, and this is actually a shield. I think that's a shield that would slightly pop up from memory. Basically just try and help with anti-tank missiles. So from, I've forgotten the name of them, RPGs, that's the word. And then of course you've got your firing compartment at the back, which is very heavy. You've got armour. There is also where you have your loaders for your ATGMs, and you've got your crew there. So yeah, multi-role vehicle. Was mainly used for scouting, things like that. Would be ahead of the main tanks, scout off targets, and then hide. However, a couple of these took out a ton of Russian tanks. I think they were actually the T-72s in the Gulf War with their tow missiles. They just annihilated a whole group of them. Very cool tank. Planes. Nothing until we get to the bottom. So we got the F-86 F-35, which has the ability to put on lots of HVAR rockets and also a couple of 1,000 pounders. So yeah, I think it's the only. No, wait, they do have modifications for that with the F-82. So yeah, it's a good jet. It's a good saber. That's, you know, what can you say? It's a saber. Yeah, it will do its job. Finally, we have the Super Saber, the F100. 895, very fast vehicle. Refueling nozzle on the side. God, it's beautiful. And then modifications. We get the bullpup. We got a lot of modifications on this thing. So you get bombs. New bombs for Americans, actually, 750 pounders. So they're similar to the French bombs, actually. That's kind of interesting. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Less explosive mass. Anyway, Hydras plus bombs. Bullpups. So you get 2 bullpups, and you get 4 AIM-9 missiles. So sidewinders, heat seekers, very good, but a little bit of a closer range weapon than the Firestreak. However, they're lighter, so they're more manoeuvrable. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out for everything. One thing I did want to check out was the modifications on everything else, because no, we don't get any extra fun stuff on vehicles that should actually be getting them. Yeah, nothing new there. So it's kind of interesting because some of these vehicles actually would have the ability to carry and were modified for Sidewinder use. The F3D, for instance, was a carrier of many of the was a testbed and also carried many of the missiles. So yeah, very strong vehicle, and possibly should have them on board. One thing I also didn't check for Britain, and I doubt we're going to have it on there, is for the Venom, because again the Venom would have the ability to carry them, and again no such luck. So Sea Venom also would have done, or Sea Venom, but no, unfortunately not. Would be interesting to see if we get the Sea Venom with them, because it would actually make the Sea Venom somewhat useful again. But yeah, that's everything for all that. Next up, we have naval section. So yeah, Navy has actually got some new boats. So that's what we want to look at now. So for Britain, we have not much new, but we have the Dido class cruiser. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, the Dido. Very cool cruiser. Dido was built in, I think it was 37, sort of finally came into service in the 40s. Lots of guns on board. So I think they're 130mm guns, 133, 130s. Normal sort of things, no interesting stuff. You do get the ability to fire self-destructing shells, so they are multi-purpose guns, these ones, which is cool. Armor, it's got a little bit of belt armor, but nothing too significant. It's not as well armored as the Enterprise, for instance, but this is a light cruiser. Now the Dido was the ship that went after the Eugen, I think, and captured her. Yeah, brain is... I'm going to have to actually look things up because brain is not working so well. But yeah, I'm pretty sure she captured the Eugen. Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah, sorry, brain is working. But anyway, very cool ship, very cool cruiser, going to be really quite a capable ship. So we've got some really good cruisers in there. No extra destroyers or anything like that. Nothing extra in anything else. Now let us hop to Russia, who we know have got the Kranzy Krim. They also have some destroyers. So hopefully now they're going to need to unlock 5 destroyers before they can unlock their cruisers, so it will be fair on everybody. So first of all, we have the Moskva, yep, which is a lead cruiser, early cruiser, not cruiser, destroyer. Sorry, my brain went totally mad there. 130mm guns, standard destroyer layout, fast little boat, semi decent. Gun armor is all you're going to get on there, so it's just a normal destroyer, very simple. I think it's flotilla leader as well. And then we have the Tashkent, which is very cool looking. The Tashkent is a later destroyer, as you can see. Some serious firepower on board, dual purpose guns as well. Yep, this is going to be a decent destroyer for the Russians. So similar to everybody else's top tier destroyer. So it brings Russians back onto some parity. Now the Kranzy Krim is the... I think it was the Svetlana class. So it's basically the Kranzy Kreziev, but with more guns, but lower caliber. So you've got 15 130mm guns. And I'm going to need to test sail this because, holy crap, that's a lot of guns. A lot of big guns. I really want to have the ability to do some test drives and test missions where you're fighting tanks. Also, on the keyboard, you'll notice there is the option now for torpedo targeting, so you can actually get your torpedo bearing thing working. Alright, so of course we're not going to be able to fire all 15 off, so what do we have here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 guns, I think it is. Let us aim towards that poor German destroyer out there. Just wait for all the guns to get on to target, and hopefully we won't click off and get the wrong ship again. And fire. Oh boy, that's a lot of shells. So basically, yeah. Basically, this ship is going to be deadly once it gets to close range. If it hits as well, it's going to be very deadly because of the way naval meta works. Now you've got the guns. You can see how the guns are laid out. It's a very sort of First World War era ship. Let's just shoot at this S-boat. Of course, one salvo destroys a destroyer, but one salvo does not destroy a S-boat because war thunder naval. There we go, that's better. Yeah, so this is going to be very, very cool. Unfortunately, you are lacking a bit in anti-aircraft defense. You have got a few relatively large caliber guns, but you are going to struggle a bit in anti-aircraft, and that's where this ship is very vulnerable. And traditionally, where the Russian ships were quite vulnerable, they struggled a lot with planes. It's going to be very easy to take out a Russian cruiser with the aircraft, as you can see. So we got 15 130mm, 3 100mm, 4 45mm, 10 37mm, 2 12.7mm. Now you have got a lot of secondary batteries there, and also you got a couple of Dushkas on board just to add to it. So it's got the anti-aircraft defense is not terrible, but other nations have got slightly better. Armor, it's Svetlana class, so it's got some decent armor, a little bit less than the Currency Crown, but still some relatively decent belt armor, things like that. And that's it for the Russians. Now finally, well not finally, next we'll go to America. I'm going to save Germany till last, actually, because I want to save Germany till last. We only get one new ship for the Americans. We get the USS Riley. So very similar to the, can't remember the name of the other ship, but very similar design, slightly different gun layout, but not much difference. I've completely forgotten the Trenton. So very similar to the Trenton. Yeah, there's really not that much difference between the two. They're the same class of ship, I believe. Yeah, they're both Omaha classes. So yeah, nothing special about them really. It's just an extra cruiser for you guys. Just like, there's really not much difference. You have slightly more anti-aircraft defense on board, and that's about it really. So yeah, it's going to be a better version of the Trenton, but not by much. Finally, we have Germany. Now with Germany, we get a very, very cool ship for the last ship in there. We get the Königsberg class cruiser, which is a succession to the Emden class. What a beautiful boat. Oh my. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. A Königsberg. So we have 150mm guns on board. Yeah, 9 of them, in fact. We have 3 88mm anti-aircraft guns, 4 37mm, 4 20mm, and also 12 torpedoes. Armour-wise, it's not as armoured as the Emden, so you're not going to be able to take as much punishment as the Emden. If we look at the armor values of the Emden compared to the Colm, the Emden has this fantastic turtleback armor inside, and that really makes it hard to go through. So the Emden is still going to be the tank of the two. It's going to tank so much. However, the gun value on the Colm is just, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Now, of course, you can see they're much longer barrels as well over the Emden. It's 150mm guns. It's cool. I love this boat. I'm a big fan of the Koenigsberg class. So anyway, enough gushing. Let's take it out for a quick test sail. And I'm wrapping up our video after this. So, I hope you've enjoyed this look at the dev server. Now, just turn off everything. Okay, interestingly, we do get a torpedo lead indication as well. It's always on, apparently. Okay. Alright. First of all, we're going to turn on the anti-aircraft guns and see how well they do.
Threat in the air.
So you can see the 88s putting themselves up. What are we fighting? I think it will be... Where are you? An SBD. So... a bit disorientating, sorry. So the big guns are going to start going around. And as you can see, the 88s are going to start firing. And they should do a big amount of damage, especially with their timed few shells. So you shouldn't have too much to worry about from the planes once they get close to you. Of course, my crew are not very trained up on this at the moment. It is a test drive, so they're a bit donkey-ish. But, yeah, we should take that plane out in no time. The main thing I want to play with, though, are the new 150mm guns.
Aircraft.
960 meters per second muzzle velocity. Now, turret rotation is a little bit slow. Once we get there, though, all our guns are on target. And just a beautiful bassy boom as they go out. And they're going to cause a lot of damage to enemy ships. Now, these are also going to be a bit more accurate, I feel, than what we have before. Just because they're a slightly longer barrel, we should have a bit more accuracy than the Emden. So it's going to be interesting to see how they go. So yeah, it's going to be a very cool boat to play around with, this one, Koenigsberg. Yes, looking forward to it quite a lot. Also, it's got a very good rate of fire too. As you can see, you're just constantly pounding. Similar to that of a destroyer's rate of fire. One of the things with the cruisers is sometimes they have a lower rate of fire. So yeah, so very, very cool. Lots and lots of guns. And yeah, this thing is going to be very, very fun when it's unlocked and upgraded as well. Alright, so I will end the video there. So we've got quite a few new things to look forward to. The Italian tech tree is one thing that I'm definitely looking forward to, but also naval as well. We've got some new toys to play with, so it should be pretty fun. The modifications on the Cold as well is you do get the APCBR, of course. The 88s just have the standard self-destroying shells, 37 as well. But yeah, should be pretty cool. So there's some cool boats to play with, some cool stuff to look at. And I'm going to end my video there because it's just gone over the hour mark. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this look at the dev server with me. And I will be back next time. So please like, comment, subscribe, you know, the usual stuff. And I will see you all again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.